Good afternoon and happy Monday. Thanks for joining us. You're watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. Thanks for being here.
How are you, Ted?
I have no idea if my camera is new and improved. I just installed it while we were doing the countdown, but we shall see. So if anybody has any feedback, positive or negative, please let me know. I was told it would improve my fuzziness.
It looks good, actually.
It does?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay,
now,
cool.
I'm on my phone because I stupidly left my laptop across town, but on my phone, it looks crystal clear.
Well, you look good, on your phone. So sometimes you look worse on your laptop. So
yeah,
who can tell, right? So lots to talk about today. Just as we open the show, just the ABC just broke the news that free speech hero and lion is Jimmy Kimmel, the bravest social commentator in American history, is returning to the airwaves tomorrow night. Woohoo! No, seriously, I was against what happened to him. But we don't really know. We don't really know what the discussions were between them. We can speculate on that. But anyway, that just happened. Obviously, the big news of the day and the week is the UN General Assembly here in New York City. Basically, everyone's recognizing Palestine. All the cool kids, the not cool kids, everybody is. And the Israelis are freaking out. And so is the United States. The U.S. is now thinking of the Trump administration is considering blanket sanctions against the international
everybody.
Criminal Court. It's like,
it's against
they're
everybody.
the ones who are supposed to impose sanctions on you.
Yeah. Hey, Ted, did you happen to catch Marco Rubio's comments to the media after the declaration of normalization of relations with the Palestinians this morning? He was trying to be as threatening as he could be, and he was utterly unconvincing. He said things like he warned these other countries that this was only going to make the situation worse for Palestinians, and if they wanted to make things better for Palestinians, then they shouldn't recognize Palestine. And it's like, buddy, how much worse could it possibly get? Like, you are utterly, completely, totally unconvincing. And it was so obvious that this is just what Netanyahu told him to tell the press. That no, nobody wants to hear it anymore.
The thing is, John, the Israelis are now threatening to annex the entire West Bank, like later this week.
Yeah, you know what? Nobody gives a shit anymore because nobody's going to recognize that anyway.
Well, that's true. And the Israelis are going to do what the Israelis are going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've had plenty of time to act decently, and we know they're not. So obviously we have to break down the situation in Palestine. Tom Homan, it came out that basically it was like I had like an abscam flashback. He literally took a gunny sack of $50,000 last fall before he was elected anything, before he was appointed to anything. But basically, he knew he was going to be the deportation czar for Trump if he was elected, if Trump got elected, and he was already accepting bribes ahead of time. You have to assume that, I mean, of course it was a sting operation, but you have to assume that this guy is greedy as hell. I mean, dirty as hell.
Yeah.
And there's the H-1B situation, which I'm going to say here, I come not to condemn Trump, but to praise him on this matter. So we can talk about that too. And there's Kimmel and there's other stuff. And there's always the questions from our brilliant watchers. So what do you think, John? What should we do first?
You know, I would really like to address this Homan situation first, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, please.
Because like you, I was reminded immediately of Abscam. Now, for those of our viewers who don't remember Abscam, this took place in 1981, where FBI agents dressed up like Arab sheikhs and bribed a U.S. senator and several members of the House of Representatives. Of course, it was a sting operation. Some of them went to prison. All of them ended up being heaved out of Congress. But the message was that bribery is wrong, and you should not do it. So now here we have Tom Homan, who's the head of Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. And he's taking a sack full of money as a bribe. It's caught on camera because it's a sting operation.
Mm-hmm.
And President Trump said, oh, he didn't do anything wrong. Leave him alone. They're not asking that he resign.
Mm.
And in fact, the president said today, his job is perfectly safe and he will not permit the Justice Department to file charges. We're in the twilight zone, Ted. There was another thing that's similar, that's parallel. Donald Trump has been saying for weeks, months, that he wants to prosecute Letitia James and everybody else who ever did him wrong. Well, last week, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, which is the espionage court, resigned under pressure from Trump. Trump now today named a loyal Justice Department official to be the new U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, and he has ordered her to prosecute Letitia James in EDVA. She can't. Letitia James is not accused of having committed a crime in the Eastern District of Virginia. There is no connection to the venue. They can't do it. But Trump said on Truth Social last night that he has ordered the Justice Department to begin going after, arresting, and prosecuting his political enemies. He came right out and said it on
did.
Truth Social. And so we're in uncharted waters right now. We don't know where this is going to go, if anywhere. And Congress hasn't said anything. Nobody has the guts in Congress to say anything. And then today, the Supreme Court ruled that Trump is allowed to fire the last remaining Democrat on the Federal Trade Commission. So all that does is it gives the Republicans a very temporary win, and it's a little incremental win. But what the Supreme Court has done is they've essentially said, when the Democrats win the White House, which they will, they can fire all the Republicans and put yes men in all of their positions. So nice country our leaders are giving us these days.
Well, you're assuming the Democrats would even have the balls to inflict retribution, which there's very little evidence of that.
Good call.
They won't, they might, but you're right. They can, and they would be tempted to, and there will certainly be that discussion. The Tom Homan thing is disgusting. He was caught
unacceptable,
dead to rights. Mm-hmm. He's dirty. He's corrupt. I'm not saying he should definitely go to jail. I don't think they could convict him, because he wasn't holding office at the time. So, I can give you $50,000 if I want. You're a private citizen. Why not? But, so it's like a pre-bribe, proto-bribe. We know. But, I would say it basically at the moment that he took that he decided to, I guess he's sworn in to his duties as the ICE czar, that he should have told his bosses, hey, this happened, I should give this back, right?
Right.
You
would think. That's what you or I would do.
Sure. Well, I wouldn't have taken the money in the first.
No, and if you're going to take a bribe, just like we always used to say at the CIA, if you're going to steal, don't steal $20. Steal $2 million. If you're going to take a bribe and you're going to risk not just your career and your reputation, but your freedom, don't take 50,000 measly dollars.
Totally.
Take millions of dollars.
No, for sure. These guys, that's, my ex-wife used to always say that about congressmen who would be caught with like a $3,000 bribe. She would be like, they're not just whores. They're like crack whores. They're cheap as shit. You can buy them off for nothing. It's almost worse than the fact that they're dirty, is that they'll sell out their civic virtue for nothing, for pennies on the dollar. Disgusting. I hesitate to ask this, John, but Tom Homan's going to survive this, right? Because the boss doesn't care.
No, I'm afraid he is. If you don't have a president who's going to put his foot down and demand that you resign, if you have an attorney general who will refuse to prosecute you or refuse to allow you to be prosecuted, then you've got no problems. But then at the same time, see how many pegs we fall on the United Nations corruption list for next year.
All right, questions. Most importantly, Ray, Clovis is at his secret undisclosed location. He'll be back tomorrow. Okay, so Stephen Victor Andrews outraged at how a low-rated TV show got canceled. I mean, I was censored a dozen of times over the years at the behest of the official and unofficial government, but I'm really worried about a TV guide. All right. Okay, Ryan Jude, what's up with India? Mostly Modi supporting Israel so much. That is a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. What does Modi get out of it? I actually can't answer. I understand that Modi wants to take a step back from the United States. Frankly, I would too if I were Modi, especially when he knows that his bread is buttered by the Chinese and the Russians and the Brazilians and the South Africans and the Iranians and everybody else that's involved in BRICS. But as to Modi's closeness with Israel, I have no explanation whatsoever.
And this question, I know I'm going to giggle, and I shouldn't. EF Huso. So, thank you for the donation. Do you think Kirk had super bones? Was it Jesus who made the bullet stay in Kirk so no one else got shot? Hashtag miracle. So, for people who don't follow social media, what this is about is that the psychopaths who gathered yesterday in Arizona to memorialize Charlie Kirk, literally, it's not enough for them to say that literally he is a biblical prophet, like John the Baptist, okay, or Joshua, like Moses, an actual prophet. They said that over and over and over yesterday. But a lot of people in MAGA world are saying that the bullet should have traveled through him and then hit other people, and that like a savior, like a soldier, heroic soldier throwing himself on a grenade to save his buddy, his extremely miraculous Jesus body thickly prevented that from happening.
Ted, did you send me the tweet from the self-described prophetess?
No, I think that was Robbie.
Oh, was it Robbie?
Yeah.
So this self-described prophetess, unless Robbie wants to come on and
yeah, hey Robbie, put on your pants. Here we go.
There we go.
Pants are on.
Okay. Fire away.
So tell us about the prophetess and what she saw when she went to heaven yesterday.
Actually, that wasn't me. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know about the prophetess. I do have my own
was
questions about the ballistics, but I don't know anything about that.
Let's do the ballistics and then we'll do the prophetess.
Yeah. Give us the ballistics.
Okay, so as someone who has done a lot of shooting with a 30-06 rifle,
the weapon used to kill Charlie Kirk.
Correct. Specifically Mausers. I used to have an old Argentine Mauser made in the 1890s. Beautiful gun. If you shoot a standard round at 200 yards, it's easily going over Mach 2 speed. That's one of the reasons why that they're used here in Montana to take down big game. Now, the question that I had was did they release information on the bullet? Because it seems like to me, if you're going to be doing this, you use a hunting round because it's just to be more effective against tissue. Well, come to find out, the government hasn't released anything at all. They haven't released an autopsy. They haven't released ballistics on the bullet. And instead, I found out that they said that this 30-06 bullet lodged up under the skin, which as someone who, like I said, who does this stuff a lot before I started losing my eyesight, that does not happen. If a 30-06 round hits a neck bone, it blows the bone out. I have seen this. It works. What they're saying, it makes zero sense. And so the question that I have is, why is the government lying about this? Because all you got to do is just hop on Grok, hop on Google.
Well, it's not the government really lying. It's government officials who are basically playing the roles of, who are forgetting that they are government officials, which is why they're engaged in this partisan hackery that we saw yesterday. But basically just running off at the mouth. This is not an official, coroner's report or anything, or a police investigation or anything like that.
Nothing's been released, which is wild, because if they wanted to clamp down on conspiracy theories, all you got to do is release the report.
That's it.
I don't understand why. They've got the shooter, supposedly. So why sit on it? It makes no sense to me.
Well, I think what's interesting is just the level of hysteria and, just the way that this has been exploited. It's so insanely over the top. I mean,
ghoulish.
I was reminded, I mean, of course, this is one of my big controversies, but the Pat Tillman memorial service, which was also in Arizona, presided over by warmongering John McCain. And, he basically they were trying to, same sort of thing, flags everywhere, eagles everywhere. But I mean, they didn't have this one had it all. It had fireworks when the widow walked out on stage. I mean, nothing says class like fireworks and, somber memorial service. I don't know, the whole thing. I mean, the aesthetics of it really deserve like a deep dive, right? I mean, of the event. I mean, about what it says. What was really interesting to me was all the discussion about like Charlie United America at the same event where the people, all the speakers are talking about how half the country sucks and killed Charlie Kirk. How is there you can't have vengeance and retribution and unity. You got to choose.
I think that's pretty obvious which way that they've chosen. I mean, Trump himself said that, he hates his enemies.
I am your retribution. That's what he said before he was elected. All right, Robbie, before I take you out,
sure.
Please remind everyone why they have to go watch us on Rumble.
Yeah, so there's a couple reasons why you want to watch us on Rumble. One, part 4 of John's interview will be releasing next month as a Rumble exclusive.
It's a good one, too.
So if you want to see that, come over to Rumble. If you become a channel subscriber for $5 a month, you can see all of the premium content on DeProgrammed. Or if you want to see all premium content across the entire platform, just pay $10 a month. Though you see that sweet Putinbot gaming stuff too. Selfless self-plug. Also, frankly, Rumble pays a hell of a lot more, and also Rumble does not censor the way that YouTube does. So if you want to have conversations about ballistics and about what I think is going on with Charlie Kirk, I don't think that shot in the neck that we saw was an entrance wound. I think it's an exit wound. I can't have that conversation on Rumble, we can have that conversation on Rumble, but on YouTube, because YouTube will blow us up. So there's that. So I'm going to go away now, and y'all Robbie, keep on going.
Thank you. You can take your pants off now. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, did you have a chance to watch that event yesterday? Or excerpts?
I did.
What do you think?
I did. I thought it was frightening, to tell you the truth. It was frightening. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of division. And there are a lot of people in positions of authority who believe a lot of crazy things. Oh, which brings me back to this prophetess.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
So
Sorry
this
about
prophetess, whose name I did not recognize, said that she was taken to heaven yesterday. God took her to heaven yesterday, and she saw God chatting with Charlie Kirk. And Charlie had wings.
Did God have a
God
podcast?
was talking to him, and God gave him a quiver full of arrows, and the arrows were made of light. There were 1,000 arrows, and they were made of light. And God told her to come back down to earth and tell people that Charlie's in good shape. He's in good hands.
Dude, that's awesome. I love it. I mean, and the thing is, what the fuck? What is wrong with people? And there's going to be people who repeat this dutifully, like, no, that's happened. He's hanging with God. I saw. Like, holy shit.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, well, all right. We were going to talk about this, so we might as well talk about it. Rocklight, what's our opinion on the H-1B visa fee? I was surprised that there was no plan announced with the implementation. Oh, I'm never surprised when there's no plan announced with the implementation.
No plan.
I mean, planning isn't really Donald Trump's thing. It's like, hey, draft up the executive order. I assume they had all the executive orders stacked up and on a schedule before he took office, and it's like,
usually they're written in the period between the election and the inauguration. Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced of that. It's like, oh, it's September 22nd. Oh, we're doing this one. We're doing the H-1B that day, and they're all spaced out very carefully. I'm convinced of that. They're all stacked up. Okay, so basically the H-1B visa fee is very simple. If a company wants to hire someone, under the H-1B program, they have to pay the federal government $100,000. So it's very Trumpy. It's like, well, we also want to get money, So in other words, it's not really about principle. It's not really about hiring Americans. No. It's about it's about grifting and bringing in some more money into the treasury. But also, it obviously is going to discourage a lot of people, a lot of companies from doing these. They're saying that there may be exceptions for doctors, which frankly is a good idea. But I got to say, good for Donald Trump. I don't say that very often, but I hate the H-1B visa program. As a former engineering student, I know and have heard and have read about countless cases of people who are unemployed and underemployed, STEM workers, especially people who got laid off in their 40s or 50s and can't get work, who are brilliant, who are American citizens. And then, there's this feeder that comes in from basically the vast majority of them are coming not only just from India, but they're coming through one company in India to feed Amazon and Apple and Alphabet and all these companies in Silicon Valley. They bring in these people, they work them like dogs. They know that they can do that. They can underpay them because otherwise, if they don't play ball, they get kicked back and sent back to India. And if they don't want that, they're not going to go along with it. There's been countless documented cases of American citizens being told that they were being laid off, but before they left, they have to train their H-1B visa replacement. And for the record, this program, according to the law, says it's only when an employer can't find an American to do the job that they have to look overseas. It kills me to think that if I graduated with a physics degree, I might have had to compete against someone who is willing to take, say 25% less for the same exact job. It's bullshit. I mean, as long as there's one American who's either qualified or could be trained, and that's an important point, could be trained to do the job, I don't want any H-1B visas issued whatsoever. If they can't find anyone, and there's no one smart enough in this country to do the job who can be trained, then okay, fine, you can look overseas. That's my take.
I have to agree with you, and I'm thinking that despite the fact that it was rolled out very unprofessionally, I think that the bottom line is probably a good one. So many of these tech companies love to hire Indians and Chinese because they'll work for a quarter of what an American worker might command. And so if you make it more expensive to hire the Indian or to hire the Chinese or Taiwanese, then maybe this is actually a good thing for American workers.
I have to think it will be.
To tell you the truth, I'm willing to give Trump the benefit of the doubt on this and see how it plays out. But I think that on paper, it looks like a good idea.
This is an intersection between the progressive left and MAGA world. I mean, Bernie Sanders, AOC, me, people, we've all been complaining about this for years. And so this is a place, it does show that there is a possibility for left and right to get together on some things. Question for you, John, from Houdini. Did you ever work with Marty? I don't know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ted, forgive me. My sound is terrible. I'm gonna leave the room and then come back in.
Okay. All right. So I will hold down the fort for a little bit while John leaves the room, and then I'll put him back in. Let's see what other questions we have here. Of course, now I'm not able. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's see. That's a John question. Oh, Alicia wants to know, who was the last upstanding, trustworthy president? I mean, it's a little bit of a cliche. There's John. All right, I'll put him back.
That sounds much better.
Thank you. Good.
Yeah.
We have a question, which is, who was the last trustworthy president? And I was about to say probably Jimmy Carter was probably fairly trustworthy.
Yeah. And I think Gerald Ford was probably fairly trustworthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of what they say is true. Least untrustworthy. Obviously, enough has been said about this one. But Bush was such a sack. Andrew Johnson was, maybe he was honest. He was just a turd. When you get yourself impeached.
Lyndon Johnson?
Andrew Johnson.
Andrew, yeah. He was drunk all through the presidency.
And he was such a racist piece of shit that was part of the reason that he got impeached in 1868. When you get impeached for being too racist by a bunch of other white dudes, rich white dudes in 1860s, you're a racist piece of shit.
You can say that again.
So Houdini
even
was
Mrs.
asking.
Lincoln. Well, I'm sorry. At the 1864 inauguration, Andrew Johnson was so drunk that he couldn't give his vice presidential inauguration address. And afterwards, Mrs. Lincoln said to her husband, like, "You've got to be kidding me. This was the only guy?" Yeah,
it's hard to find good help. Did you ever work with Marty? Houdini 09 wants to know. Marty.
Yes, Marty was my immediate supervisor in Alex Station. Marty and I were friends from 1990. We served in a Middle Eastern country together.
How come Houdini knows who Marty is? Who's Marty? Like, why is that a famous person?
Marty's out there in the news now every once in a while. We're talking about Marty. Well, we're talking about Marty. I'm not going to say because he's a dick. He testified against me in the grand jury in 2012, and I ran into him about 4 years ago, and I said, "Marty, what the fuck?" I said, "We were friends for decades, and you testified against me in the grand jury. You didn't even have anything to do with my case." And he said, "I really regret it, but they were just looking for somebody to trash you. And I was in town and they pressured me." I was like, "Shame on you, man.
What the fuck?
Shame on you."
That's really lame. I was in town.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They were just looking for people. They were trying to get people together just to trash me before this grand jury. Because remember, I had been arrested in January of 2012, but I had not been indicted by a grand jury. And my lawyer's like, "What do you mean you haven't been indicted?" And I said, "No, there's not been a grand jury." He said, "Oh, this is political." My lead attorney, "This is political." So we made a motion to throw out the charges because I hadn't even been indicted by a grand jury. And so as fast as they could, they called the grand jury together. They got all my former enemies from the agency to testify against me over the course of 4 or 5 days. And then they indicted me. And they said, "Ha, now you're indicted." I always had a great deal of respect for Marty. He was one of the best, most gifted, natural case officers I ever met. But when it came time to show honor,
he fucked you.
His was out to lunch. Yeah.
Thank you for the $1 donation. Couldn't agree more. Kirk's funeral was right out of Idiocracy. That's how I felt.
Weird. It was weird, man.
It was, yeah. These are weird times. U.S. XXX A-Rod, thanks for the donation. How can the public trust any of the details the FBI came out with?
Yeah.
It's run by a buffoon. We'd rather release select details and talk about Valhalla than actually investigate.
He's right. How do we trust the FBI? We can't trust the FBI.
No. Not. I think you could trust the agency writ large maybe at one point, but not with this guy. Marble, why did it take a genocide for the West to finally recognize Palestine? I hate to ask that question, but either they're a state or not. I love that question.
That's a great question. That's an important question.
Look, to me, this situation is a lot like East Timor. And I used to have this conversation with my father-in-law, who was Taiwanese. He was a big Taiwanese independence activist, and he was like, "When is America going to give us our independence? When are they going to go to the Chinese and say, 'Leave Taiwan alone'?" I'm like, that's never going to happen, ever. First of all, the Americans are selling too many weapons and enjoying the whole split, and they love using Taiwan to fuck with China. This will go on forever. And I was like, if you guys ever want your independence, you're going to have to do like East Timor. You're going to have to declare it. And then maybe, and he said, but then the Chinese will invade. I'm like, I don't think so, but they might, and they might kill a bunch of Taiwanese people, and that's the price you pay for freedom. I mean, that's what happens when you are, when you're fighting a much bigger power. And I think what's happening with Israel is the same sort of thing. The Israelis had to go to the mat in order. I mean, they had to kill as many Gazans as they possibly could before. And John, I don't see you. If your camera's off.
I see you.
Okay, good. You. There you are. So I felt like the. So I mean, I think that basically the world was never. I mean, Hamas was right. The world was moving away from the Palestinian cause. They did not care. They passed the Abraham Accords. They were going to completely threw the Palestinians under the bus. The Saudis were going to normalize relations with Israel. Yeah. No one gave a shit. Hamas needed a game changer, and they made a game changer. And you could argue about the details, and I have, but I think it required. I mean, to me, the purpose of terrorism is to expose your enemy as monsters. So if you say, look, the Israelis and the Americans are monstrous, anti-Muslim, oppressor, imperialist, murderer assholes, and then you poke at them and you attack them and you make them violently over the top, overreact, or you prompt them to do so, then they've made your case for you. And I think that's what happened. I think it was October 7th was a huge political success for the Palestinians and for Hamas.
Palestinians. Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly right. I can't disagree with anything you said. I looked at a map in the Washington Post today of countries around the world that recognize Palestine and countries that don't. And, we talk about it here in the United States like it's this really big, momentous decision that's going to change the course of humankind. No, the countries that don't recognize Palestine are the United States, Norway, Sweden, Greece, Germany, and Austria. And that's pretty much it. The rest of the world has always recognized Palestine, or has for years. So no, we make it sound like it's this momentous, cataclysmic decision. No, it's not at all.
Well, it's also, everyone can read their polls, right? I mean, recognizing Palestine is probably the only popular thing Emmanuel Macron has done in years.
See?
And look and the latest polls are out. The vast majority of Americans writ large, not just Democrats, now sympathize more with the Palestinian cause than the Israelis. By the way, about the magic bullet, Turning Point USA executive producer Andrew Colvett says Broomhild claimed the surgeon told him that Charlie's healthy bones stopped the bullet. He also said the coroner found it beneath the skin.
I just cannot believe that any of that is true. We saw the video. We all saw the video. It did catastrophic damage to the man's neck. It didn't hit a bone. In a
100th of a second.
That's right.
Not a fringe leftist, but a mainstream leftist murdered Charlie Kirk, says Phil. All of the lies as he was a racist, sexist, fascist Nazi were literally a death warrant. Never mind that they were all lies. Phil, I'm going to agree. I'm not going to break down the exact specifics of Charlie Kirk's ideology. Even if Charlie Kirk was a racist, sexist asshole across the board, he absolutely, that he did not have that coming. But he wasn't. It's true that, like, when I went back to look at, he wasn't Mr. Kumbaya. Okay, this is a guy who had a hit list on professors that he wanted to have fired because they were too liberal from professors. So that's a fascist kind of thing to do. But the point is, overall, he was kind of a garden variety right winger, and I don't think it's true that he would. When you look for like the terrible racist stuff, he was like snotty about affirmative action. Hell, so am I. I hate affirmative action. I mean, it's like, so whatever. I mean, I agree. I think that's important. Anal Ape wants to know, it felt like we were heading towards a populist versus establishment realignment, away from left versus right. That's why I loved John agreeing 100% with Tucker. Since the shooting, left versus right got a boost. Well, liberal versus conservative got a boost.
Yeah.
I think the realignment's still there. It's just waiting to come out after all this madness, if this madness fades.
I talked to Tucker yesterday about this. He had just gotten back from Phoenix, and he told me that for the very first time in his life, he genuinely fears for the future of the country. And I said, I have to agree. I've never experienced this kind of hatred amongst Americans before. I mean, we have political
and stupidity.
Yeah, we have political problems and issues and demonstrations, and think of the summer of '68 and the assassinations of Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy. But I've never genuinely feared for the country like I do today.
No, me neither. I mean, this is peak. We've gone full retard for sure here. So let's see. Michael Vilov wants to talk about France. Bayrou lasted less than a week. Yeah, I mean, France is in real trouble. Congratulations. I did. Congratulations on Miss Emmanuel Macron. Look, definition of insanity, doing the same shit over and over. That's what's going on here. I mean, Macron was told in no uncertain terms by the voters when he called the election last year, the French voters want the far left or the far right. And it's pretty close, right? The far left is a little ahead of the far right. The far right's a little better organized, although last year it was a shining moment for the left. But they don't want center-right austerity bullshit. Nobody wants that. And he keeps coming back with that over and over and over. The French are freaking out. This is going to get ugly. We are going to see May 68. I mean, it's France is blowing up. And, I hate that because France is my stopgap measure.
Yeah, I know, right?
In case of emergency.
Right.
Ryan Jude, what flavor of engineering were you? Asking me. I'm a quality engineer. So if I'd graduated, I would have been an applied physicist and nuclear engineer. I used to joke that Saddam Hussein would have loved to have met me because I did know how to make an atomic bomb.
Hey, Ted, before we go on, I know Robbie's telling us we have an ad, and I don't want you to miss it.
Okay, Robbie, go ahead and pop that sucker up there, and I'll read it. John, you're a spiritual man. What makes the prophetess's claim any different than any other theology? Good question.
I just tend to generally think that everybody's nuts. I'm in Los Angeles right now. I'm staying with my brother, and my brother is an adamant atheist. I even saw he wrote a check. Like I didn't even know people still wrote checks. But there's a check on his kitchen counter to the Freedom from Religion Foundation. He just hates all organized religion. He wants to be active against it. He thinks everybody's nuts. And you know what? After the Archbishop of the Greek Orthodox Church threatened to excommunicate me a couple of months ago, I've been really sour on organized religion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, that's just one asshole, although he's quite an asshole.
Yeah,
but all right, here we go. Let's read this ad. You've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and it's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you actually care about. That's the deal. Okay. Oh my God. So we have so many great questions.
Oh, I'm glad. I can't see the questions today because
okay, don't worry. I'll pop them in here. Stevie, considering the low education levels in this country, how can you expect to reasonably compete with people from China and India that have a far better education?
Good point.
It is a good point. And then, and maybe we'd have a higher educational attainment level if we didn't make it the most expensive product you can buy after buying a house. That's right. I mean, it's literally a college education that is at a 4-year school is $400,000 now. I mean,
and let me add this now, and I'm going to preface it. I'm going to preface what I say by saying that I'm neither confirming nor denying that this is the case. I'm just saying as an observation. What kind of predicament does this put the CIA in, where the CIA wants Chinese scientists to come and work
Mm.
in big tech so the CIA can recruit them and send them
Ooh.
back to China to then
Mm.
be agents in place?
I wonder
This
if
is,
Tulsi brings that up to the Donald.
I doubt
That's a
it.
good question, though. That is a really, really good point, John. That would never have occurred to me. This question's also for you, from Thief. You once mentioned talking to a poppy farmer who talked about an American in jeans telling him to grow poppies. Can you talk more about this? Are they CIA?
1000% yes. I probably sat in the same area of cubicles with whoever it was who told the guy. But yeah, that was clearly a CIA officer. Just like I mentioned yesterday on a podcast here in Los Angeles, uh, there was a human rights, an important human rights, like internationally known human rights figure, who told me that he had a witness who was 12 years old at the time of the 2001 Dashti Leli massacre in northern Afghanistan, and what his new source was telling him, the source was 12 years old at the time of the massacre, was that at the site of the massacre, where 2,000 Taliban soldiers were suffocated to death,
I've
there
heard
were,
more than that.
oh, it's bad. No, it was about 2,000. That was all that the trucks could hold.
Hmm.
But there were two men at the site of the massacre wearing jeans and black T-shirts and speaking English.
And
So
directing traffic.
who could it possibly be on November 30th and December 1st, 2001, in Dashti Leli, Afghanistan, speaking English and wearing blue jeans?
I met James Dolan, the director of the film Afghan Massacre,
Yeah,
and talked to him
powerful.
extensively about that. And no, there's never been any accountability from
No, no.
Obama. Had promised to do something and he never did.
Well, may I talk about that for a minute?
Yeah,
Because
let's
this is
talk about it, because, by the way, that I was right there. That was like where I was at that time.
So Barack Obama said during the 2008 campaign that he was going to order an investigation into the Dashti Leli massacre. What happened was, on November 30th and December 1st, 2001, 2,000 Taliban soldiers en masse gave up to the Northern Alliance
They
at
were
Dashti
captured
Leli.
in Mazar-i Sharif.
That's right, Mazar-i Sharif. So they asked the CIA, what do we do with these Taliban? And the CIA
This
said,
was a Rashid Dostum project.
the CIA said, truck them out to the desert, hold them in the desert until we can divide them up and send them to smaller jails around the country, because there was no jail in Afghanistan
No.
that early on in the war that could hold 2,000 people. As you said, this was Abdurrashid Dostum, one of the most vile, one of the darkest and most murderous men in modern Afghan history.
I know.
And
I,
it's greater.
I had to ask him for a favor, and I had to go to visit him, and it was weird to say the least.
He said to me once, he said, "You don't like me very much, do you?" And I said, "No, sir, I don't. I think you're a cold-blooded murderer." And
He
he just,
sure fucking
oh,
was.
oh, 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 he laughed like that.
I mean, he literally was the guy. The reason that Kabul looked the way it did was him.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So they trucked all these Taliban out to the desert,
No
and
water.
one of the 14 survivors out of the 2,000 said that when they opened the trucks, the bodies fell out like sardines from a can because there were no air holes, there was no water,
They were
there was
screaming
no
in there.
food. They all suffocated.
And as jokers, the Northern Alliance guys, some of them shot holes into the tank, into the shipping containers.
That's right.
Like, oh, you want some air? Here, we'll give you some
Here's
air.
some air. And they just shot them and killed them. I
Mhm.
went up there in 2009, and you go to the site of where the trucks were opened up, and there are human bones just
I saw
all
it.
over the place, and clothing
Yeah.
just sticking out of the ground. It's
Yeah.
grisly. So
It's the killing fields of Northern.
very much so. So I told John Kerry, I'm going to fly out to Mazar-i Sharif, and I want to get to the bottom of this. I know Abdurrashid Dostum did this. And I believe that the CIA, if it wasn't directly involved, the CIA watched it unfold
They
and
won
did nothing to stop it.
100%. We even know the
So,
name of the unit and everything.
oh, sure. So I went out there.
I thought it was Special Forces had something to do with it too.
That wouldn't surprise me, but there were way more CIA than there were special forces at that point. So I went out there and I came back and I told Carrie, there are human bones sticking out of the ground, and they didn't even bother to bury the bodies. They just left them there in the desert. So I wrote a letter under Carrie's auto pen signature to the CIA, and I said, we have this witness that came forward, and I said, was the CIA at the site of where the trucks were opened? So 6 weeks later, a colleague of mine came into my office and said, very casually, he said, hey, the agency sent you a response to your letter. And I said, I didn't see any response from the agency. I just checked my mail an hour ago. And he said, well, they classified it top secret. And at the time, I only had a secret clearance. And I said, well, what did it say? And he said, it says, go fuck yourself. And that's essentially what it said. They were like, who the fuck do you think you are? We're not answering these questions. And then that was the end of it. So I went to Carrie, and Carrie said, I think we should probably just kill this investigation. And I thought, yeah, of course we should, because all you want is to be Secretary of State. You don't give a shit about the truth.
Yeah,
And that was the end of it.
It was on purpose.
Sure it was.
I mean, yeah. And it was thousands. Yeah. So these Taliban guys, right? Like they were the guys who couldn't catch the whole thing is so corrupt, right? So in the closing days of the U.S. invasion in the fall of 2001, for people who aren't as familiar with this as you and I are, so Kabul was like the last major thing to fall. Yeah. But right before that, the second important thing to fall was Mazar-i-Sharif. And when it did, there were thousands of Taliban who surrendered. Yeah. And then the Bush administration actually flew a lot of them on planes over to Pakistan, right? And released them.
Right.
So, like we weren't really that serious about nailing the Taliban. And my understanding is there were some Al-Qaeda guys there too.
Well, remember, we were not at war with the Taliban.
That's true.
We didn't have a beef with Taliban. In those early days, it was just Al-Qaeda, Al-Qaeda, Al-Qaeda.
Right.
And then there are these Taliban guys getting involved.
So they flew them away, and they went to Pakistan, but not everyone made the planes, and the plane stopped running, and it's like those who fell in ended up packed inside the shipping containers without any water, and it can be well over 100 degrees in the desert in northern Afghanistan, hotter inside the shipping container, I'm sure.
A lot hotter.
They baked in there. I mean, it's like a kid in a car with the windows up. It's exactly like that.
I'll never forget it. The kid said that they fell out of the shipping container like sardines from a can.
Mm-hmm. It's disgusting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the biggest war crimes in U.S. history.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like much bigger than My Lai, I think. In terms of sheer numbers.
Was what, 35 people at My Lai, or 100 people, whatever? We're talking about thousands all at once.
Yep. Hey, thanks for the Mountain 16. Thanks very much for the donation. This is a tourist question for you, John. Hi from Mike in Nottingham. John, my sister is going to Rhodes in October. Great. Any cool and interesting places there you'd recommend?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, first, the most important thing is the Crusader, the walled Crusader town. It's called Ipaliapoli, the old city, and it's right where the ships let you off. The cruise ships let you off. So it dates from the 13th century, and it's one of the most magnificent places in the world. Number one, just outside the old city is something that used to be called Monte Smith, which is a colonial name. It's now called the Acropolis of Rhodes. And it's a mountain that overlooks Rhodes, and it has a temple of Apollo at the top of it. Magnificent view. Then if you go down, there are three ancient cities of Rhodes. There's Lindos, Yalisos, and Gamiros. So Lindos is on the east coast. Don't miss Lindos. It's probably the most beautiful spot on the entire island, and there's a magnificent Acropolis. So it's walled, and then there's a temple of Athena up there, Lindian Athena. The other two ancient cities, one is my paternal village. Gamiros is a little bit inland. So Lindos, the ancient city, was at the top of the mountain. Gamiros, the ancient city, was going up the mountain, and you can go tour the ruins, and there's a wonderful museum there. Our village, Yalisos, they know that the ancient city was there somewhere, and then every few years, a 2,500-year-old statue will wash up on shore. So they know it's there. They can't quite exactly find it. But that's what you want to do in roads. Yalisos and Camiros and the village of Monolithos, that's where the word monolith comes from. And it's got a castle at the very top of the monolith. And then on the East Coast, Lindos. But the old city of Rhodes is absolutely magnificent. You can just get lost wandering around the cobblestone streets.
Okay. Question. What would there was. Oh yeah, I like this one. Brunhild. What's the deal with ex-Al Qaeda Ahmed al-Shara coming to the U.S. to meet with Mr. Little Marco Rubio? It's Petraeus even sat down with him and said he was a fan.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it's not the first time we've ever dealt with radical head-chopping Islamists, right?
I would put money on the notion that he was a paid CIA agent, that he has been for a long time, and they've brought him in from the cold, and they made him the president of Syria.
I would buy that 100%. Yeah. I mean, the Free Syria Army, right, which then morphed into the Al-Nusra Front, which then morphed into ISIS. Yeah, lovely people. I mean, it's a replay of what we did in Afghanistan, right? I mean,
it's exactly the same playbook.
What do you think about the theory from Zarki Danoon about the theory that Israel is being so hostile because their religion states that Israel will eventually fight against the whole world and then God will save them?
I think there are a lot of Messianic Jews who believe that is exactly what we're at the beginning of right now. And I think there are a lot of evangelical Christians who agree and who actively support it. There are a lot of evangelical Christians in the United States who believe that they can hasten the return of the Messiah by helping the Israelis to attract Jews.
But then all the Jews in Israel get killed, right? They're like moths to the flame.
Yep.
They're all in one place conveniently to be killed.
Right.
If I'm Jewish, I'm like, this is not I don't know if I want to play along with this particular scenario.
That is the prophecy.
Question. I think you should answer this one too. Do you believe MAGA is a fascist movement? And if so, do you think violent resistance against fascism is warranted?
I actually don't think MAGA is a fascist movement as a movement. I think it's a right-wing populist movement. Mm-hmm. But I think that MAGA leaders are turning it into a fascist movement.
That's well said. I think it has. It's the clay that can be turned into a fascist movement.
There it is, right there.
Yep. It's like, and certainly there are some fascist aspects to it. But it really, this was just the Tea Party that got funneled into the Trump campaign. But, once you see everyone wearing the same hats and going to big rallies and sit and basically cheering on the leader, no matter what outlandish, stupid shit that they know isn't true and can't be true. Once you're talking about scapegoating the non-existent enemies, right? This situation with the radical left and cells are out there. That's Emmanuel Goldstein from 1984, right? There was no resistance, so the party made it up.
That's right.
And that's made up. There is no. If there was a radical resistance, I would have signed up with them years ago. But okay, that said, are we in danger of fascism coming to America? Never have we been closer.
Oh my God, I so agree. And what makes it that much more dangerous, Ted, is that it's so incremental. Like literally every day, you and I
fast.
we get these push notifications every day. the Supreme Court allowed this to stand. The Supreme Court allowed that to stand. There's a new Trump executive order that's, doing this thing or that thing, or the FBI is going to do this, or the U.S. attorney's doing that. It's like it all adds up to fascism.
This is very similar to, after Hitler was elected in 1933, it took 9 months before the Reichstag passed the Enabling Act, and that was like the final death knell for German democracy. And I mean, I was talking to Scott Stantis, my friend and colleague at the Chicago Tribune, about this morning, and he said, Trump's a little slower. It's like it's going to take 3 months longer, but he's like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Republican Congress passed a law that said anything that Donald Trump wants is automatically the law. And at that point, fascism is here, or totalitarianism is here anyway. Maybe not traditional fascism, because you really have to have rampant militarism and invasions of foreign countries, which Trump, fortunately, doesn't seem to be that into. Yeah. And look, I'll answer the tough part of the question, which is, is armed resistance justified to resist fascism? Yeah, armed resistance is justified to resist fascism. My grandfather was in the French Resistance, so yes, it is.
My grandmother, my mother's mother, was she was in Greece in 1940 when the Germans came in, and she was arrested and put in prison only because she was an American citizen, not for any other reason. And she was young; she was only 21 years old, and my grandfather was able to get her out of prison by bribing a Nazi prison guard with American magazines. And then they got onto a steamer and went back to the United States. And it was only by the grace of God that they were able to get out. So
that's insane.
We're not all going to be so lucky the next time this happens.
And hopefully I'll stay out of prison long enough to revel in the fact that, John, we are currently ahead of Fox News on Rumble.
Oh my God!
We're on the front,
hey,
not
everybody
on the front page. We are number 8 in America.
Wow!
Live.
Wow!
Our little show.
That is absolutely wonderful.
It's stunning.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
And also, big thank you to Olaneos. Just gifted 5 subscriptions to the show.
Wonderful.
Scary girl, much deserved. Glad to see her get that. Ryan Jude, thank you. So thank you so much for that. That's amazing.
Wonderful.
All right. So let's talk about what comes next. I mean, by the way, did you hear Netanyahu late last week talk about autarky?
Yes.
So Netanyahu realizes, I mean, he's a lot of things, the devil, but he's not stupid, and he can see the direction that this is all going. So people have been asking me, what's the practical direct impact of the statehood a declaration? None. But the point is that the word is now out that it's not cool to hang with Israel anymore. So big business isn't going to want to do business with them anymore. There won't be contracts. They won't be able to import or export. They won't be able to recruit people or send their people overseas to work and send money back. So basically, Israel is going to find itself more isolated than South Africa did under apartheid. And frankly, they deserve it, because their behavior, their conduct is even worse than South Africa during apartheid. I mean, at least the South Africans weren't just systematically butchering hundreds of thousands of people just for fun to steal their land. So now you've got, but I think what's going to happen is, it's true. Bibi is literally thinking, we're going to have autarky. We're going to have to be completely independent. And I'm thinking, okay, the last time anyone said that was Paul Pot. He was like, we don't have to deal with anyone. At least Kampuchea was agriculturally rich.
Right.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I like the wines from the Golan Heights, but they don't have that much there. I mean, I don't see how this works. I think Israel will collapse. I mean, I think, we're not going to have a negotiated settlement. I think the economy of Israel will collapse, and we might, and it'll be a post-apartheid type scenario. They're just going to have to say uncle and just somehow work it out with the Palestinians, because their economy will be dead.
See, but I think maybe I'm expecting a lot worse, but I don't think they will give, because I think I think they would rather nuke themselves and everybody around them rather than to be destroyed from the outside.
I think they're honestly, I think they're like a rabid dog. I mean, I think they need to be put down at this point. I mean, this is ridiculous. I think the world should invade Israel and take it over.
Yeah.
I mean,
and administer it. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you secure the nukes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me put Robbie back on. He has a question here. All right, here we go. Robbie?
Howdy. Yep. So no, we've had a couple of people on YouTube ask how they're able to donate. The short answer is you have to come to Rumble, because YouTube pulled the ability for people to donate using super chats. They gave me a BS reason that does not hold water, because up until about a week ago, people were able to donate, and YouTube is now playing games. So if you want to donate to John and Ted, go to Rumble. I just shared a link over on the YouTube chat, and frankly, Rumble also pays them significantly better. So watch them over there. You can donate, and also you can support the show and just by watching, which is huge. So
thank you, everybody.
Rumble.
I think maybe we what we'll do is we'll create a PayPal account, and we'll put that up so people can donate. And thank you, by the way. Oh my God, thank you so much for that, for your support. Is just amazing, you guys. So yeah, no, John, I could see them. I could see them deciding to, basically take us out.
Take everybody. Yeah, take everybody down. And Ted,
they don't have ICBMs though.
Oh yeah. I know that we're running short on time, and I don't want us to miss what's arguably the most important story of the day, that apparently Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has cured autism. Did you see this?
I did. He said just by telling us not to use Tylenol.
Yeah, it's like, don't take Tylenol, but take lots of vitamins instead. Who knew?
Who knew?
And the president said yesterday that in the next couple of days, he's going to come out with the announcement about the cure for autism. It's just to take vitamins.
If only if only the parents of autistic kids knew about vitamins.
I know.
I mean, I bet they don't have.
Yeah, but the thing is where do you find vitamins? They're impossible to find. Oh no, wait a minute. They're not impossible to find. No, they're out there.
Oh, this is a great question, David Galvin. Okay, well, we should talk about we'll talk about David's question in a sec, but RFK Jr. is the biggest fucking disappointment to me.
What a buffoon.
I was going around telling everyone on air and off air, like the only thing I was really happy about Trump, besides the possibility that he was going to lift sanctions against Russia so we could get back to work, was the fact RFK Jr. Like, make America healthy again, get rid of additives and preservatives from our poisoned food supply, cleaner food, adopt the EU standards. All those things are great. And it's like, we didn't get any of that crap.
No,
basically all of his critics turned out, I admit, I was wrong. All his critics said he's a fucking maniac. He's a nut. He's an anti-vax psycho. And that turned out to be true.
Mm-hmm. I made a fool of myself repeatedly by saying that I consider him to be a friend, right? Mm-hmm. We were very friendly before his presidential campaign. And then Dr. Aaron Good, who was a frequent guest on the show that I had with Michelle, would say, oh, he's great. I'm joining the campaign. And then he quit the campaign, and Aaron said, no, he's nuts. And I thought, oh, well, no, he's not nuts. Aaron probably had some kind of a run-in with him or whatever. No, Aaron was right. He's nuts.
Yeah, he's nuts.
He's dangerous.
Yeah, what the Democrats said turned out to have been true about him. It sucks. I hate being wrong like this.
Yeah, me too.
Greg Palast threw him under the bus and said that brainworm got my friend. We used to be close friends. They used to work together all the time. Mm-hmm. I love Greg, and I worked with Greg on a couple of his books, and I would again in a second. So Greg, if you're watching, operators are standing by. And so when I read this harsh commentary from Greg, I was like, holy shit! I hope he never gets mad at me. I mean, that sucks. And I was like, poor Bobby, what did he do? Like, and then now I'm like, no, Greg was right. He just saw it before I did.
Yeah. I hate to say I was wrong, but I was wrong. Big time wrong.
Two very related questions, so I'll read them at the same time. David Galvin, do you think the MAGA movement would push back on if Trump started to become a dictator, like the fall of the Democratic Party to nothing and the fall of the legal system and the courts? In other words, if he became a dictator. And Paris S., a hypothetical question, if Israel were, well, this is not related, it were to collapse, could you see a coup coming to stop Netanyahu and the lunatics? Well, they are related questions, right? So in other words, if we get complete manic, insane fascism in Israel and in the United States, could we see the locals rise up and, a revolution?
I would say yes. It would have to get bad
so.
enough, but yeah, I would think so. Yes. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised to see the leader of that revolution come out of the Pentagon.
Right. Well, that would be, yeah. I mean, it's true. Often, as we saw in the Russian Revolution, right? I mean, it's when the military signs up. That's often the last piece, right? That they're the ones who close the deal, but they kind of need to see that the people, they don't want to. They usually take orders until they stop taking orders.
Yeah, right.
I hope we don't get to that point.
Oh my God. I can't even believe
it is
we're
a
having
long
conversation.
fucking way to 2028, though.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, right now, I can't even, it's like, I can't just hold my breath. Oh, it'll be gone. I mean, we'll be in the campaign cycle soon. There's not going to be even pre-campaigning until like late 2027. So we've got to get through 2.5 hard fucking years. I don't know.
I agree.
So in the meantime, we will continue to deprogram you as long as they'll allow us to do that. And we'll work on that PayPal thing and put that up. And thank you so much for the donations you guys were able to do. Please like, follow, and share the show. The DeProgram show with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou is here Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And we will therefore be back tomorrow, Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. See you then. Thanks to Robbie West. Go check out Robbie's gaming channel, Putin Bot Gaming. Buy my book. I'm not going to put up the cover today. What's Left by John's book. What's the latest book called?
It's called Remains of the Day. It's coming soon.
Okay.
Soon.
Can you pre-order it?
4 weeks.
Is it
Pre-order
pre-orderable?
should be up in the next week or two.
Excellent. All right. We'll keep an eye on that. Okay. Bye, all.
Bye.
Hey.